So we're doing the Aphra video today? Okay. Yeah. I mean, this is great. I'm thinking like for the intro, like we could probably get some like smoke. It's like smoke screen going on, maybe some strobe lights. You know, like them, like my name could flash along the bottom of the screen. Yeah. How is everybody doing today? My name is Jake Ruddle and I'm one of the content creators here at Youtini.com, and today we're bringing you the review for Doctor Aphra, an audiobook original. As with all of our reviews, we've got a ton of stuff that we're going to cover today, so before we get started, I just want to remind you guys that this video is brought to you by Audible. If you're looking to take in your Star Wars books as audio, Audible is the perfect place for you to pick up all the copies that you need, and you'll be able to listen to them right from your phone. Not to mention, Audible is going to give you guys access to the audio drama that I'm going to be reviewing for you today. All you have to do is head over to Youtini.com/audible, where you can sign up for a free trial, and your first book is going to be on us. Even if you decide to cancel your free trial and not pick up a membership, that's fine. You still get to keep your audiobook, so if your first pick is Doctor Aphra, then you can hold on to it for as long as you want. We also suggest checking out Star Wars' other audio drama, Dooku Jedi Lost, which is similar into what we're going to be talking about today. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. So Youtini.com/audible. It's got all the information that you need. So let's go ahead and dive in and figure out what it is that we're dealing with here with this audio drama. The folks over at Penguin Random House Audio decided to go out on a limb for us last year and give us a brand new medium to tell stories that they called an audio drama. The first of which to be released was Cavan Scott's Dooku Jedi Lost, which is a great listen if you haven't listened to it already. Audio dramas are a little bit different than your typical audiobook, because whereas with an audiobook you have a narrator who's reading you the story and they may use different voices and things like that, an audio drama is going to have an entire cast of characters. Doctor Aphra, an audiobook original, does a great job of giving us something both familiar and uniquely brand new. So let's jump in and talk about this plot. People who are familiar with Dr. Aphra are going to recognize her from the Darth Vader 2015 run. She first appeared in Darth Vader number 3. Sarah Kuhn, the author of the audio drama, did a great job of kind of adapting these stories that we're already familiar with, but also giving us something new and gripping and exciting. Kuhn's adaptation actually adopts like a dual storytelling approach. Not only do we have the story that's going on in the audio drama, but Aphra herself kind of keeps this verbal diary. Think of the Calrissian Chronicles and Solo, a Star Wars story. For those of you who like to step into the storytelling techniques, you'll know that this gives us a pretty unreliable narrator. And if you've read the comics, you pretty much know that you never know what you're going to get with Dr. Aphra. Throughout Aphra's telling of the story, we're getting a lot of the same characters that you saw in the Darth Vader comics. Darth Vader himself, Son of Staros, 000 and BT. But it's also important to note that because we're getting this story from Aphra's point of view, we're getting the same story, but from a much different perspective. So if you're thinking to yourself, why am I going to listen to this because I've already heard this story before? Yeah, you've heard the story, but you've not really heard the story. At least you haven't heard Aphra's version of the story. As far as plot goes, we're giving the audio drama a 7.0. So now let's talk about the characters. Characters with this one is a little bit interesting because Dr. Aphra's audio drama consists of Dr. Aphra herself for about 80% of the dialogue. Aphra herself is portrayed by Emily Wu Zeller in this audio drama, and she does a great job of kind of getting us into Aphra's head, but also, like I said before, retelling this story that we already know and love. The Aphra character herself has pretty much widely been loved ever since her introduction in Darth Vader number 3. So much so that she actually got her own comic run shortly after that. Aphra herself has sometimes been described as like an Indiana Jones meets Han Solo kind of character. And the combination of Zeller's performance along with just the general likability of Aphra herself makes for a really great main character. There are a couple of times whenever we do kind of question the believability of Aphra because she does get a little crazy and obscure in her ideas and her descriptions of things, but in short, that's what makes Dr. Aphra Dr. Aphra. We also have Aphra's sidekick murder droids, 000 and BT, who are always going to be fan favorites whether you see them on a page or you're listening to them. And one of the most standout characters that really stuck out to the review team was none other than Son of Staros. It's not spoiling anything, but a continued theme with Dr. Aphra's character is to find real relationships with people. And I don't want to say that it's a surprise, but we get a real relationship between Son of Staros and Dr. Aphra in this particular story. Within this story of heists and betrayals and shootouts and mystery, also kind of lies this star-crossed queer love story of two women of color. And that's a marvelous addition to a galaxy far, far away. After taking all of this into account and evaluating, we're giving the characters an 8.7. Next up, we are going to talk about originality. It can seem a little bit difficult to try and factor in originality whenever you have an adaptation of a story that's already been told. The first thing to take note of is that this is a first-person story. Now, it's no secret that first-person stories have been hit or miss in the Star Wars Expanded Universe whenever it comes to whether or not they are accepted. The fact that this first-person story is an audio drama, though, makes it work. The originality of this story lies within the risks that it takes to tell a story that we already know. It's really awesome to expand the thoughts of Aphra, see the frustrations of Vader from another perspective, pick up on that sentimentality that comes with the character like Son of Staros. There's a lot of originality there which hopefully can transition into more of these kind of stories in the future. All of this adds up to a rating of 7.7 for originality. We're going to move on now to writing style. With writing a character like Aphra, it's important to note that her character has already been defined. The witty quips that she wants to make in a very serious moment. The fact that there might be a ticking time bomb and she wants to tell a joke. That characterization is already established. And Sarah Kuhn does a very good job of capturing Aphra. Sarah Kuhn does a really great job of writing this character in the way that we know her, but she also never really takes away from the situation that Aphra's in. Sometimes Aphra finds herself in very dire situations, and we as the reader, or the listener in this case, don't want to, or don't need to, or shouldn't have to forget that the situation is very serious despite the fact that Aphra is somewhat of a comedic relief. Kuhn does a really great job of telling this story in her own way, but also giving us those snippets of vulnerability that humanize Aphra and make her a character that's both relatable and likable. While some of the dialogue is carried over directly from Kieran Gillen's Vader comic, there is still plenty of the story that shows you that it came from Sarah Kuhn's mind. Not only is the story great, but we're also really excited to see what other stories Sarah Kuhn can give to us in the future. Writing style gets an 8.0. Let's move on now to entertainment. The first thing that everybody has really said in the book review team is that we haven't laughed this much taking in a Star Wars story in years. Fans of Aphra know that no matter where she goes, chaos normally seems to follow her. And the writing, the acting, the editing, all the stuff that kind of makes this production what it is really captures just the craziness that Aphra can find herself in. It's entertaining. For years, people have jumped into this idea that Star Wars audiobooks are the way to take in these stories because of the production quality, because you feel like you're getting the movie in your mind. And these audio dramas are taking that to the next level. Like so many of the Star Wars stories that we've been getting lately, we're finding that balance between the crazy action and the more slow, intimate, introspective character pieces. What that makes for is a roller coaster of storytelling. Sometimes we have the highs, sometimes we have the lows, But when you put it all together on one big ride, it is entertaining. We know that with this story, you are sure to experience thrills in your headphones that you probably haven't experienced since the last time you were in the movie theater. With all the entertainment in this audio drama, we're giving it an 8.7 in that field. So how do we rate this audio? As we've talked about over and over again, with this being an audio drama, we have a cast that is top-notch. Not only do we have some newcomers in the audio drama field for Star Wars, you are going to recognize some names on this cast list like Mark Thompson, Catherine Tabor. We're also getting that production quality that is associated so heavily with Star Wars as a whole, the sound effects, the music, all the different pieces that make this what it is. I feel like that's something that you're going to hear over and over and over again with these reviews on Star Wars books, especially with the audio section, but what really sets this apart is this cast of characters that makes this an experience that is not just like listening to a book being read to you. To kind of wrap things up, bringing in Aphra as an audio drama was a great idea. Sometimes it can be difficult to try something new, especially with something like an audio drama. Sometimes people are reluctant to listen to audiobooks because they like to have the book in their hand. But projects like this Doctor Aphra audio drama are giving us a look into the future of Star Wars stories that is taking us much farther beyond what we already know. We have storytellers that are taking risks, we're getting diverse characters, and we're getting stories in every single medium you can imagine. It is truly a great time to be a Star Wars fan and take in these Star Wars stories. If I didn't know any better, I would say Doctor Aphra has many more stories to tell us in the future, and all we have to do is strap in for the ride. Our final verdict for Doctor Aphra, an audio drama original by Sarah Kuhn, gets an overall rating of 8.0. Be sure to let us know what you think about Doctor Aphra, an audio drama original, in the comments below. If you haven't already liked this video, make sure that you do so, and if you haven't already subscribed to Youtini's YouTube channel, make sure you do that too. You can check out plenty more content from Youtini on our YouTube channel, and we also have a link below to the Living Force podcast where you can check in with Corey, Charles, Eric, and the gang every week. That's all we have for this review. Once again, my name is Jake Ruddle. You can get in touch with me on social media. You can also get in touch with me through any of our Youtini social media outlets, through Discord. You can check us out online, youtini.com. I'll see you all in the next video, and until then, the Force will be with you, always.